Hitting a fat loss plateau is one of the most frustrating places you can be. I know, because I was stuck in one for almost 3 years, spinning my wheels, and what I was doing suddenly stopped working. And the biggest mistake I made is I thought if I wasn't seeing results or the results had stopped, it's because I wasn't doing enough. So I doubled down. I did more cardio, more restricted my diet, and eventually it became unsustainable, it became unenjoyable, and I would fall off plan. And then I went to get motivated again. I would double down, be over restrictive, hit a plateau, and then be stuck in this rebound cycle. And it was a really negative place to be. So in today's video, I'm going to show you why fat loss plateaus happen. I'm going to show you the mistakes I made so you can avoid them. And then I'm going to give you 2 strategies that you can implement to smash through these fat loss plateau and take your physique to the next level. So the first thing to understand before we get stuck in is the law of energy balance. That's calories in versus calories out. In order to successfully lose fat, you need to be in a negative energy balance. It's a calorie deficit where you consume less calories on average in a day than you burn. It's really that simple. Now we've understood that, next we need to figure out if you're actually in a fat loss plateau. So many people have no way of actually tracking their data accurately. They're just jumping on the scale, randomly looking in the mirror, scratching their heads, and then getting frustrated when the results aren't as fast as they expected. Weight can fluctuate for so many reasons. Water retention, carbohydrate intake, meal timing, stress. So it's really important that we collect a load of data to get an accurate representation of what's going on. And the best way to do that is get your average weight. You want to weigh yourself every single day, add all the weigh-ins up and divide them by the number of weigh-ins you have. That's your average weight. If you do that and your average weight stays the same for 3 weeks, even 4 weeks, then you can safely say you're in a fat loss plateau. Number 2 is having an honest reflection of your current approach and if there are any areas that you feel like you could tighten things up. It's very common when people are seeing results, they're deep into a fat loss phase, deep into a calorie deficit, and they start to take their foot off the gas. They start to relax a little bit, start to guesstimate, snacks sneak in, maybe they're not tracking their liquid calories like milk or whatever it is. I see it all the time. So on average, when they zoom out, they're not actually in a calorie deficit. So that's the next place to look. Track your average weight, get an accurate representation of what your average weight is doing, and then figure out if there are any areas that you feel like you could tighten things up. If you've done those things, you're like, Ollie, everything's dialed in, I'm tracking my average weight, what I was doing before is no longer working, what do I do? Then I want you to understand fat loss plateaus are completely normal, but the biggest mistake I made is thinking, well, I just need to white knuckle through it. And the problem with this is your body is built for survival, so the harder you push, the harder it will push back. If you've been in a calorie deficit or dieting for a long period of time, you've lost some weight, maybe 5 kilos, maybe 10 kilos, your body doesn't want to continually lose weight. It doesn't want to continually burn fat. So it has a survival mechanism called adaptive thermogenesis. This is basically diet fatigue, where it slows your metabolism down. It increases your energy input, so your hunger and cravings go through the roof, and it decreases your energy output. So you'll get tired, you get lethargic, your motivation starts to dip. And this is completely normal, but the last thing you want to do is white knuckle through this. And I see it time and time again. People think they need more motivation, more discipline, they double down, and then as a result, it becomes really miserable and really unsustainable. And this whole process of burning fat, building muscle is about enhancing your life. And if it's forcing you to sacrifice things you enjoy, then it's a massive contradiction, and there's a better way of doing things. So what we do with all our clients in this situation when they've had some progress, maybe they lost 5 kilos, 10 kilos, but now the results have stopped, but they're doing exactly what they were doing before, is we implement what we call a metabolic reset protocol. It's where we basically take them out their calorie deficit. We have a diet break. We figure out what their new calorie maintenance is, and it's really important to understand that this will be your new calorie maintenance because the amount of calories your body needs just to keep you alive is going to be different and much less than it was when you were 10 kilos heavier. So figure out what your new calorie maintenance is and then bring your calories up to that maintenance while maintaining your current weight. It's really, really important. This is so powerful. Once you've done that and your weight has maintained for 2 weeks, even 3 weeks, your energy's back up, your metabolism's firing at a faster rate, I would then drop into a fat loss sprint, because the biggest mistake most people make is what I call this continuous dieting approach. They just drop their calories and try and stick to it for as long as they can. This is not only very mentally taxing, it has no urgency, and life will constantly throw you obstacles, things will crop up, and then when they do, you're like, oh, well, I'll just start again next Monday. So having fat loss sprints anywhere between 4 weeks or 6 weeks, having some targets, tangible targets that you're aiming for, is going to be really important when you're taking your physique to the next level. And the amount of times I'm chatting to people and they're like, oh, I'm in a calorie deficit, and I'm like, great, how long are you going to be in that for? And they're like, I don't know, until I hit my goal. And I check in with them and they're like, oh, I fell off plan, things cropped up, I went away. So you want to move away from thinking of your fat loss journey or your transformation journey like a light switch where you're either on or off. You want to think of it as a dimmer switch, times where you're really dialing in and turning that dimmer switch up and going through those fat loss sprints, and then times where you're turning the dimmer switch down and you're taking your foot off the gas, bringing your calories up to maintenance, having a bit of a psychological break, a diet break. It's so important. You won't feel like you're constantly dieting, constantly training. And this is such a game changer, guys. So if you're in a fat loss plateau, figure out what your maintenance calories are, your new maintenance calories, bring your calories up, have a diet break for 2 to 3 weeks, track your average weight, and then plan out some fat loss sprints. And switch from looking at your fat loss journey like a light switch and more like a dimmer switch, where you're gonna have times where you're really dialing in and then times where you're taking your foot off the gas. And that is how you will successfully transform your body, because the best nutrition plan, the best training plan, the best fat loss plan is the one you can stick to long enough to see life-changing results. So if you've enjoyed this video, guys, and you're a man over 30 and you want a little bit of a kickstart to your fat loss journey, you need some motivation, you want to be around like-minded people that are on the same journey, we've just put together a free Fat Loss Kickstarter. I think there's about 250 people in there at the time of recording this, and it's all the strategies, tips, techniques that you need to lose up to 1 kilogram of fat per week without giving up the food you love, without living in the gym, doing endless hours of cardio, and without giving up your life. Because remember, this process is about enhancing your life, not forcing you to sacrifice the things you enjoy. And if you are, then you're doing it wrong, and there's a better way of doing things. So if you're interested, I'll drop a link in the description below, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.